Hello, and welcome to a short webinar about how to have healthy conversations about money, which I think we can agree is all very well needed at the moment. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. So, what I'm going to cover in this session are key skills that we all need and we all can have. You don't need loads of qualifications to have it on how to be a good human and to have that open dialogue about mainly mental health, but mainly money as well. There are lots and lots of tips on how to talk, key skills for listening, but also we don't need to be an expert on everything. So it's super important that we know where to go for more information. So I will end on a little section on signposting. So a question for you. I want you to have a little think. You don't need to be an expert on the cost of living to help someone. What do you think? Let's go to the next slide and find out. It is false, and this goes the same for mental health. If you look at waiting lists for specialist mental health support, it's quite a long time. In fact, at the moment in 2022, it's about 2-year waiting list. 2-year waiting list, which is crazy, right? A 2-year waiting list is a long time, but that is for specialist mental health support, okay? What I'm talking about is sort of low level or just having a chat with someone that maybe is struggling with money worries or problems or debt, rent arrears, things like that. We don't always need to be a real expert. And often it can help, but actually, from a lay terms, there are simple things that we can do to help someone. And here are some key things. So first things first is we need to be able to listen. In fact, if you look at what anything or how anyone really values someone and helping them, it's someone who is willing to listen and to not judge, okay? You don't necessarily need to be an absolute expert in your field to be able to do that. They're all skills that we can have if we really genuinely want to help someone. The other things as well is about having conversation skills, so I'll have a slide on that in a second, and where to go for more information. We're very, very lucky in this country that there is actually a lot of support out there, but sometimes it can be confusing where to access that help and who is available to support someone. Some tips for talking. So there's 10 tips here, so quite a lot. First one is to talk. But prevention is better than cure. I expect you've heard of that saying before. It's much better to deal with things before they become a massive problem. So, for example, in terms of money, soon as you start getting letters through the post saying that you might be in debt or that your interest rates are changing, it's best to do something about your situation then, and not leaving it and ignoring it, and then all of a sudden you've got the bailiffs at the door wanting to repossess your house. Now that is a bit of an exaggeration, but we do see things like that happen. So preventing things, being on your A game before it becomes an issue. Once it becomes a massive problem, it's much harder to sort out. So prevention is super, super key. Number 2 is about listening, which I've already mentioned. And when I say to people, what is good listening? They will often say to me, wow, you just sit there and you listen and you nod and you agree. And it's like, well, it's a little bit more than that. So reflective listening is repeating back what you have just heard. It shows that you are actively engaged. It shows that you are just checking instead of assuming what that person means. So it's a really good tip just to have a really good rapport with someone. Tip number 3 is trying to use opportunities for an open dialogue. So you might notice something come up in the media, which is really common at the moment. If you haven't seen anything in the media, then I'm sure you can do a Google alert and find something. There might be something on a TV program. It might be that you've watched this webinar and use it as an opportunity to say to someone, I watched this webinar and it said X, Y, and Z. What do you think? Okay, so use those opportunities to ask people for what they think about certain subjects, maybe even have a bit of a debate. Number 4 is supporting self-efficacy, which is all about strengths in someone's life, or sometimes we call them protective factors. Now, there are certain protective factors and risk factors for someone potentially having money problems. So a risk factor would be something that would be detrimental to what's going on in their life. So it could be that they've had been in rent arrears in the past, or had debt in the past, or have specific problem debt that they're struggling with. But not all debt's bad, by the way. Problem debt is obviously what someone can't cope with. So, for example, credit card debt. But a strength, so a strength or supporting self-efficacy is that maybe someone has a job or is able to work more hours temporarily so they can afford their bills. Or it might be that they have a supportive partner. It might be that they are engaging with you as a service, because not everyone engages. So supporting the self-efficacy is supporting that person's strengths and what they're good at. Number 5, remind them about how much you care and let them know that you're there for them whenever they need it. Often people do not want to be talking on the spot. If I said to someone, let's have a chat about your finances, they might not be taken off guard. They might not be ready there and then. And that's okay. So sometimes it's about like saying, you know what, I know you've got a lot on at the moment. I just want you to know that I'm there for you if you need me. Someone just knowing that you care is sometimes just what they need. They might not be up for talking straight away, but at least they know you care. Number 6, encourage social interaction and healthy coping strategies. Something that really worries me for poor mental health is isolation and loneliness. And that goes for poor mental health and suicide, unfortunately. Big risk factors are for people that are isolating themselves. So if people can talk about it with their partner or family, or just making sure that they don't stop going out and seeing their friends. Obviously, they might not be able to afford doing certain things with their friends, but they can probably go out and go for a walk, for example, which costs nothing. In terms of healthy coping strategies, we should all be striving for healthy coping strategies. Coping strategies are a way of how we deal with rubbish stuff going on in our life, whether it's to do with money problems or relationship problems. How do we deal with that? Now, negative coping strategies could be to do with maybe drinking too much. After a hard day at work, glugging a whole bottle of wine, for example. That would be an unhealthy, not very good way of dealing with stuff. Whereas a healthy coping strategy could be having a really hard day at work and going to the gym and then maybe getting an early night. Simple things like that can really help. So encouraging people to just have a moment to even think about what their coping strategies are, because we don't always know. Number 7, don't be afraid to seek help, because at the end of the day, this is what these charities and organisations out there exist for, and that is to help people. And it could be that they help you with one thing and you sort yourself out with another thing, because problems don't exist on their own. So if there's a money problem going along, it might be there's a money issue, but it's also affecting your relationship, or it could be affecting your job process. You might be looking for another job because your current job can't quite cut it with the money situation. You know, people out there, charities, they don't necessarily need to see you every week for, you know, months on end. Sometimes they're happy just to have a one-off chat just to get you on the right lines again. Number 8, ask open questions. So if anyone is struggling to engage with you, or you want to find out more information about helping someone, asking open questions how you finding things at the moment is going to get more information from someone than you're all right then. If you say you're all right then, you're going to be like, yeah. Whereas you say, how are you finding the whole current cost of living situation at the moment? It's a completely different type of question. Number 9, don't just talk about money and mental health. You know, if you are thinking about a family member or a friend, or you might be in a work situation where you need to talk to someone about mental health and money, don't always just talk about that issue, because people in general want to work with people they like. So if you have a good relationship with that person and you just get to know them in general, they're more likely to open up to you rather than you just asking about a certain thing. And then the last one, number 10, don't forget about you. You can't pour from an empty cup, which I think we hear of that term quite a lot, but it just means look after yourself. We're always looking after other people, and actually we can't look after others if we're not well. So please make sure the person looking at this screen right now, watching this webinar, make sure you're looking after yourself as well. So there's some lovely tips there for talking. Hopefully you've learned 1 or 2 things from that slide. So just talking a little bit about where to go for more information, and this is literally the last slide. There is so much information out there, and the first one I'd like to just point out is MoneySavingExpert.com, which is Martin Lewis's website, where he has put so much advice about how to save money, and he has done for quite a number of years now. Recently, he's created a survival guide on the cost of living, which outlines 90 tips on how to save money. So check that out if you haven't already. For anyone in the BCP area, Bournemouth, Christchurch, Poole, Citizens Advice have designated debt advisors, but they also have a Let's Talk Money program, which are specific people that work on a specific project, tackling people or helping people, should I say, with any concerns about money. Then you've got Christians Against Poverty and FaithWorks. They're 2 other charities that help with money problems. In fact, they help with all sorts of things actually, but they do help with anything money query related. That could be helping you get back on track with your money, looking at options for debt, because it's not all about bankruptcy nowadays. But it doesn't matter what faith you are. So I've personally worked with these 2 agencies recently. I thought originally that they worked with just people of a Christian faith, but they don't. They work with any faith. So I'm just putting that out there, because sometimes people might be put off by the Christian or what it says kind of on the title on their homepage of their website, but actually they help with anyone. So that's great. Then you've got BCP Together. BCP Together is an app and web page with tons of information about organisations that exist in the BCP area to do with well-being, work, and including money. Okay, and there's your money stress section there, which will have various little webinars on there on how to access government grants, money saving tips, options for debt. And if there's anything missing, contact me and I will try and sort something out. So we make sure that everyone has lots of information on there, because webinars and pre-recorded videos like this are a great way to learn great skills. And then if you do know anyone who's experiencing debt, Step Change is the main charity that exists in England, and they're completely impartial. So they're not affiliated to anyone, and they can help anyone just take those first steps into gaining control out of their life, basically, because it can be very easy to feel out of control when it comes to money. And all these organizations help you feel more in control of what's going on. So hopefully you'll lead a happier life. If you're interested in any sort of well-being apps, I can recommend Headspace, Insight Timer, and Calm. They're very similar apps. They have a lot of guided meditations on there, tips on sleep and diet, all things to keep you well. I really recommend strongly prioritize your well-being, because if you don't, it won't prioritize you, which is a bit of a harsh thing to say, but it's super, super important. I put a lot of energy into my mental health so then I can cope with changes and adversity and any curveballs that come my way, and I get some, you know, because we all do. So keep your cup full. Thank you very much for watching this webinar, and I hope you found it useful.